The lunch rush was in full swing at Harper's diner, the kind of place where the smell of sizzling bacon and coffee clung to the air like a second skin. Plates clattered, orders were shouted, and the hum of chatter filled every corner. But amidst the noise, Emily Carter, a young waitress in her early 20s, stood with a smile that was as warm as the coffee she poured. She wasn't just any waitress. Emily had a way of making people feel seen. She remembered names, asked about children, noticed when someone looked down and offered a kind word. To her, waiting tables wasn't just a job. It was a chance to bring light into lives that often carried invisible burdens. But kindness doesn't always shield you from cruelty. That day, the manager, Mr. Grayson, stood with arms crossed, his eyes sharp as knives. He had been looking for an excuse to get rid of Emily. She was loved by the customers, but he saw her as too soft, too slow, too emotional, qualities he despised in a fast-moving business. The moment came when Emily dropped a tray. A glass of iced tea slipped, crashing onto the floor, splashing onto the polished shoes of a man in a tailored suit. The diner fell silent. Everyone froze. Grayson's voice cut through the stillness. "Emily, that's the third time this month. You're done. Get your things, you're fired." Gasps spread through the room. Some customers whispered, others looked away, uncomfortable. Emily's cheeks burned red, her hands trembling as she bent down to clean the mess. She opened her mouth to apologize, but her words dissolved into the weight of humiliation pressing against her chest. She wasn't just losing a job. This paycheck was her rent, her groceries, her little brother's school supplies. Without it, the fragile balance she had been holding together would collapse. And then, it happened. From a corner booth, a man in his late 40s slowly stood. His presence was commanding yet quiet, like a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. He had the kind of face people recognized from magazines and news articles, though few could place him immediately. His suit alone spoke of wealth, power, and influence. But his eyes weren't on Emily's tears or the broken glass. They were fixed on the small silver pendant resting against her collarbone. A delicate locket, worn and scratched, shaped like a heart. He froze. Completely. The billionaire, Alexander Reed, founder of one of the largest tech companies in the world, suddenly looked as though he had seen a ghost. His breath caught, his jaw tightened, and for a moment, his polished exterior cracked into raw emotion. The diner watched as he walked toward Emily, each step slow, deliberate. The tension in the air thickened. Emily kept her gaze down, ashamed, clutching the pendant with trembling fingers as if to draw strength from it. Where did you get that necklace?" His voice was low, almost breaking. Emily blinked, confused. "It was my mother's," she whispered. "She gave it to me before she passed." A ripple of silence moved through the diner. Alexander's hand trembled as he reached toward the pendant but stopped just short of touching it, as if it carried fire. "What was her name?" he asked, his voice unsteady. Emily hesitated. "Sarah. Sarah Carter." Alexander closed his eyes. The room seemed to tilt around him. The name hit like a thunderclap. His chest heaved as memories, long buried, surged back. Sarah Carter. The girl he had loved in his youth, before life tore them apart. The girl whose laughter had been his favorite sound, whose dreams had been intertwined with his own until circumstances, choices, and cruel twists of fate had severed their path. And now, decades later, here stood her daughter, wearing the very locket he had given Sarah on her 18th birthday. Emily looked up, her tear-streaked face full of confusion. Do you know her?" Alexander's throat tightened. For a moment, words wouldn't come. He looked into Emily's eyes and saw Sarah staring back at him, the same warmth, the same quiet strength. "I knew her," he said finally, his voice breaking. "I loved her, she was everything." Gasps spread through the diner again. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She had grown up hearing fragments of her mother's story, but Sarah had never spoken much about her past. To hear this powerful man speak her mother's name with such tenderness shook her to the core. Mr. Grayson stepped forward, impatient. "Mr. Reed, I assure you, this girl is nothing but trouble. She's clumsy, irresponsible, and—" "Enough." Alexander's voice was sharp now, steel wrapped in velvet. His eyes turned on Grayson with a force that made the manager step back instinctively. "Do you have any idea who you just humiliated? Any idea what she carries?" Grayson sputtered, caught between fear and confusion. The other customers sat in stunned silence. Alexander turned back to Emily. "You're not fired," he said firmly. Then, after a pause, "In fact, you'll never have to serve tables again if you don't want to." Emily's lips parted in shock. "What do you mean?" Alexander inhaled deeply, steadying himself. "Because you're Sarah's daughter, and that makes you family." Her knees nearly gave way. The weight of his words crashed over her like a tidal wave. "Family?" The diner erupted in whispers. The billionaire and the waitress, connected by a bond no one had seen coming. But beneath the awe and curiosity, Emily's heart burned with a different emotion. Disbelief. Could this really be happening? Could this stranger, this untouchable man of power and wealth, truly be tied to her mother's past? The pendant glimmered under the fluorescent lights, carrying decades of secrets. And in that moment, the story of Emily Carter was about to change forever.